All right, so get this for today's deep dive. We're exploring Christmas,
Christmas.
but through the lens of Dr. Myles Munroe.
Oh, wow.
Now, we know Dr. Munroe
Yeah.
was a pretty powerful voice when it comes to leadership and faith.
Absolutely.
So this should be really interesting.
It is fascinating how he saw Christmas
Yeah.
as something much bigger
Okay.
than just a religious holiday.
Much bigger.
He believed that it tapped into
Okay.
a fundamental need we
I,
all have as humans.
We're not talking about just like
Right.
finding the perfect gift or like baking the best cookies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going deeper.
We're going deeper than that.
Okay.
He even asked, why does it seem like the whole world, even people who don't celebrate Christmas religiously,
Okay.
need it?
It's true.
Think about it. You can't escape Christmas?
Christmas is everywhere this time of year.
Yeah, it's like everywhere.
It is.
So what was Dr. Munroe getting at? Why did he think Christmas matters so much even to non-religious folks?
He argued that Christmas is more about humanity's need
Okay.
than a religious celebration.
More about humanity's need.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're going to explore that.
Yeah,
But to really get it, we need to understand where he was coming from.
makes sense. Yeah. What made Dr. Munroe's perspective so unique? Was it just because he was a religious leader?
It wasn't just his background.
Okay.
Dr. Munroe had this incredible way
Yeah.
of connecting faith to our everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
He believed the Bible was so powerful
Okay.
because it focuses on human stories,
Okay.
our struggles,
Yeah.
things we can all relate to,
Mm-hmm.
which in his view
Okay.
makes it more credible.
So instead of just seeing it as this like
Yeah.
distant rule book,
Exactly.
he saw it as like
Yeah.
a reflection of humanity.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's key to understanding his view of Christmas.
That's helpful.
Yeah,
Now I know Dr. Munroe had some pretty strong opinions
he did.
about why some people just flat out reject Christmas. It wasn't as simple as like not being religious.
Right.
Okay.
It was deeper than that.
Deeper.
He argued that accepting Christmas fully
Okay.
means accepting that we're accountable to God,
Mm-hmm.
that there's a higher power we answer to.
Okay.
And Dr. Munroe believed that's something some people really struggle with.
So it's almost easier to avoid the whole holiday
That's what he seemed to think.
than to deal with the responsibility.
And this ties into his perspective on atheism, too.
Okay.
Dr. Munroe saw atheism as a reaction to all the bad stuff humans have done,
Okay.
the chaos we've created.
So he thought that some people become atheists
In a sense, yes.
because of the state of the world.
He said it's easier for some people to believe there's no God at all
Mm.
than to believe in a God
Wow.
who would allow so much suffering.
Yeah.
It's like a way to avoid facing our own mistakes, the
Oh.
mess we've made.
It's deep.
It is.
It reminds me of this powerful analogy
Yes.
that Dr. Manuel used. He talked about Earth being like a spaceship
Right.
totally lost in space.
That's a great example.
Just hurtling around with no direction.
He was saying we desperately need guidance,
Yeah.
some kind of help from outside of ourselves
Uh-huh.
to navigate all the craziness happening on this spaceship Earth.
And that's where Christmas comes in.
Exactly.
It's not just about presents and carols.
Dr. Munroe saw Christmas as a sign that God's patience
It's something bitter.
with humanity had reached its limit.
Limit.
But instead of destroying this chaotic spaceship,
Okay.
he offered us a way out, a chance for salvation.
Salvation.
It's a huge turning point in the story of humanity.
This next part is where it gets really mind-blowing.
Okay.
Dr. Munroe pointed out that the very first promise of Christmas
It is a fascinating detail.
was actually made to the devil
Right.
way back in the book of Genesis.
He was highlighting God's plan to take back control from evil,
So Christmas is less about like a feel-good holiday
to restore order to the universe.
and more about a power move.
And that plan starts with Christmas.
Power move.
Think about it, even the virgin birth itself.
Okay.
Why would God choose such a miraculous conception for Jesus?
Well, Dr. Munroe said it was to show that the solutions to Earth's problems
That's a great point.
can't come from Earth itself.
That purity, the divine intervention, is symbolized by the virgin birth.
Because we're all part of the problem.
It's a powerful sign that God isn't limited by the ways of our world.
So Christmas is about like breaking free from those limitations,
Absolutely.
those constraints we create for ourselves.
And Dr. Munroe didn't shy away from the implications of that.
Recognizing a power that's bigger than us.
He argued that to truly accept Christmas, You have to accept God's authority in your life.
Which explains why some people, as he pointed out,
Yes.
completely reject the whole idea of Christmas.
And he saw this resistance, particularly the rise of atheism,
Yeah,
as a symptom of humanity's disillusionment with itself.
it's easier to just dismiss it than to face the responsibility.
We've created so much suffering, so many problems.
That comes with accepting it.
Dr. Munroe argued that it becomes easier to believe there's no God at all,
That's really insightful.
rather than to accept a God who might let such bad things happen.
It's like we're trying to shift the blame
Exactly.
to avoid admitting our own role in the problems.
And Dr. Munroe's response to that avoidance was powerful.
Exactly.
Instead of denying God,
Okay.
he said we should acknowledge our need for him,
Or need
for his intervention.
for his salvation.
So instead of clinging to this illusion
That's the heart of what Christmas is all about.
that we're in control,
Yeah.
we need to acknowledge that there's a bigger power at work.
Surrendering to that higher power is not about weakness or blind faith.
And by surrendering to that power,
It's about aligning ourselves with a force.
in a way we can find true peace and joy.
That's bigger than us, a force that can help us make sense of the chaos
It's like tapping into that cosmic lifeline.
and guide us toward a better way of being. You were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
that divine source of strength and hope.
And remember, Dr. Munroe believed Christmas is the ultimate expression
That Dr. Munroe believed in so deeply.
of that lifeline.
Yeah.
It's God's love reaching down to meet us right where we are.
And this brings us back to his 10 reasons why Earth needs Christmas,
He did.
right?
And each reason provides a piece of that solution.
He saw it as like this multifaceted solution
We've already covered the first one.
to the human condition.
Earth needs help.
Right, we can't fix ourselves.
We've seen throughout history, even today,
We need help from a power outside of ourselves.
how we struggle to solve our own problems.
That makes a lot of sense.
We tend to create more issues than we fix.
And Dr. Munroe saw Christmas as that intervention.
So Dr. Munroe says we need intervention.
Yeah.
Something bigger than ourselves. Exactly. Yes, he did. And he goes on to explain in his 10 reasons what that intervention looks like and why it's so important. But before we jump into those, I want to circle back to that powerful analogy of Earth as a chaotic spaceship lost in space.
Yes, it's such a vivid picture.
And remember how we talked about the first promise of Christmas being given to the devil?
Right back in Genesis,
Not to humanity.
it almost seemed like God was putting the universe on notice.
Exactly. God is reclaiming authority, establishing a new order. And that plan starts with Christmas. Think about it, even the virgin birth itself. Why would God choose such a miraculous conception for Jesus?
Well, Dr. Munroe said it was to show that the solutions to Earth's problems can't come from Earth itself. We're too messed up. We need something pure, something that's not tainted by our own brokenness.
That's a great point. That purity, that divine intervention is symbolized by the virgin birth. It's a powerful sign that God isn't limited by the ways of our world.
So Christmas is about breaking free from those limitations, those constraints we create for ourselves. It's about recognizing a power that's bigger than us.
Absolutely, and Dr. Munroe didn't shy away from the implications of that. He argued that to truly accept Christmas, you have to accept God's authority in your life.
Which explains why some people, as he pointed out, completely reject the whole idea of Christmas. It's easier to just dismiss it than to face the responsibility that comes with accepting it.
Yes, and he saw this resistance, particularly the rise of atheism, as a symptom of humanity's disillusionment with itself. We've created so much suffering, so many problems. Dr. Munroe argued that it becomes easier to believe there's no God at all, rather than to accept a God who might let such bad things happen.
That's really insightful. It's like we're trying to shift the blame to avoid admitting our own role in the problems.
Exactly, and Dr. Munroe's response to that avoidance was powerful. Instead of denying God, he said we should acknowledge our need for him, for his intervention, for his salvation. That's the heart of what Christmas is all about.
So instead of clinging to the illusion that we're in control, we need to acknowledge that there's a bigger power at work, and that by surrendering to that power in a way, we can find true peace and joy.
Yes, surrendering to that higher power is not about weakness or blind faith. It's about aligning ourselves with a force that's bigger than us, a force that can help us make sense of the chaos and guide us toward a better way of being.
It's like tapping into that cosmic lifeline you were talking about earlier, that divine source of strength and hope that Dr. Munroe believed in so deeply.
Yes, and remember, Dr. Munroe believed Christmas is the ultimate expression of that lifeline. It's God's love reaching down to meet us right where we are.
And this brings us back to his 10 reasons why Earth needs Christmas, right? He saw it as a multifaceted solution to the human condition.
He did, and each reason provides a piece of that solution we've already covered. The first one, Earth needs help.
Right, we can't fix ourselves. We need help from a power outside of ourselves.
Right, and the second reason Dr. Munroe gives us is this: we need salvation, not just a spiritual salvation, but a real, tangible change. We need a rescue from the consequences of our own actions, the mess we create.
So Christmas is like a rescue mission.
You could say that. And then Dr. Munroe goes even further with his third reason we need a new government.
A new government. Wait, he wasn't just talking about politics, right?
No, he was talking about a fundamental change in how we operate, how we live our lives. He meant we need a new set of values, a new way of ordering our lives and our societies.
So it's about a change in our mindset, our approach to life, a new way of being.
Exactly. And this new way of being involves recognizing that we're not alone, which leads us to his fourth reason. Christmas reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles.
That's a powerful message, especially in a world that can feel so isolating at times.
Absolutely. And then his fifth reason for why Earth needs Christmas takes that idea even further. He says Christmas brings the presence of God within us. It's not just about a distant God up in heaven. It's about a personal, intimate relationship with the divine.
So Christmas is about experiencing God on a personal level, feeling his presence within us.
Precisely. And are you ready for reasons 6 through 10?
Hit me with them. I want to hear what else Dr. Munroe had to say about why Christmas is so important for humanity.
Okay, so we're diving deep into Dr. Munroe's 10 reasons why Earth needs Christmas. And we've already uncovered some pretty profound stuff. We need help. We need salvation, a new way of governing ourselves, and the reminder that we're not alone in our struggles, that God's presence is within us.
That's a great recap. And, those last two reasons are a perfect bridge to the rest of Dr. Munroe's points, because if we're not alone and if God is present within us, that changes everything.
Yeah, I can see that. So what's next on Dr. Munroe's list? Reason number 6.
Well, building on the idea that we're not alone, Dr. Munroe emphasizes that we need leadership, not just any leadership, but the kind of leadership that only comes from a higher power.
So it's not about finding the perfect political leader or CEO. It's about something more profound.
Exactly. It's about recognizing a divine order, a plan that goes beyond our limited human understanding. And that kind of leadership, according to Dr. Munroe, leads directly to his 7th reason we need peace. Now everyone wants peace. But Dr. Munroe was talking about something deeper than just the absence of war, right?
Right. He saw peace as a state of being in inner harmony that comes from aligning ourselves with God's will, with that divine leadership we were just talking about. It's a peace that transcends circumstances, that remains even in the midst of challenges.
That's a powerful concept. It's like finding a center of calm within ourselves no matter what's going on around us.
Exactly. And that brings us to his 8th reason. We need a reminder that our solutions are not on Earth.
Wait, so we're back to the spaceship analogy. We can't just fix things ourselves, even with great leadership and inner peace.
That's the point Dr. Munroe was driving at. We need to look beyond ourselves, beyond our limited human solutions to find true answers. And Christmas, he argued, is a powerful reminder of that.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here, so what's reason number 9?
Dr. Munroe says we need a sign that the Creator pursues his creation. We need to know that we're not just wandering around in a random, meaningless universe.
So it's about feeling seen, loved, pursued by something greater than ourselves.
Yes, and it's about recognizing that this pursuit isn't just a one-time thing. God is constantly reaching out to us, drawing us closer, offering us hope and guidance. And that brings us to his 10th and final reason we need to know that the best we can produce is not good enough.
That's a humbling thought, but I think I get it. It's about recognizing our limitations, realizing that we can't achieve perfection on our own.
Exactly. It's about letting go of the need to control everything, to have all the answers. It's about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves, something that can guide us to a higher good.
Wow, those are 10 powerful reasons. But Dr. Munroe didn't just leave us with these grand, abstract concepts. He brought it all back down to earth, to our personal lives, right?
He did. He believed that Christmas offers each of us a very personal invitation, a chance to experience these truths in our own lives.
Okay, I'm really interested in that. What does that look like? How does Christmas offer us freedom, hope, and connection in a practical sense?
Well, for starters, Dr. Munroe believed that Christmas offers us freedom from self-destruction. It's a way to break free from those cycles of pain and chaos that we often create for ourselves.
So it's about letting go of the need to control, to fix everything ourselves. It's about trusting in a higher power to guide us.
Exactly, and that leads to the second point. Christmas gives us access to heavenly help. He emphasized that we don't have to go through life alone, that there's a source of strength and guidance available to us.
It's like that cosmic lifeline we talked about, right?
Yes, and Christmas also brings hope for overcoming problems.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in our darkest moments, even when we feel lost and alone, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
That's such a reassuring message. What else did Dr. Munroe highlight about the personal significance of Christmas?
He talked about the assurance that we're not alone, that there's a divine presence walking with us through every challenge, every high and low. And finally, he spoke about the empowering realization that God resides within us.
Wow, so Christmas is about tapping into our own inner divinity, recognizing that spark of the divine within each of us.
You could say that it's about realizing that we're not just flawed humans trying to make sense of a chaotic world. We have a source of strength, of wisdom, of love within us, and Christmas helps us connect with that.
Okay, so we've covered the 10 reasons why Earth needs Christmas and how those reasons play out in our personal lives. But there's one more piece we need to address, right? The idea of the kingdom of heaven that Dr. Munroe talked about.
Yes. That's a crucial part of his teaching. He saw Christmas as the beginning of a new way of living, a way of being in the world that's based on righteousness, peace, and joy. It's not about waiting for some far-off future paradise. It's about embodying those qualities right here, right now.
So how do we do that? How do we live out these kingdom of heaven principles on a Monday morning when we're stuck in traffic or dealing with a frustrating coworker?
It's about making choices moment by moment that reflect those values, choosing forgiveness over anger, kindness over judgment, hope over despair. It's about embodying love even when it's hard.
So it's about aligning our actions with those higher principles even when we don't feel like it.
Exactly. And remember Dr. Munroe's point about Christmas reminding us that we're not alone. We have access to that divine help, that strength and guidance that comes from outside of ourselves.
Right. We don't have to do this on our own. We're empowered by something greater than ourselves.
That's the key. As we make those choices, as we tap into that divine power, we start to change not just our own lives, but the world around us.
It's like a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Our small acts of kindness, of forgiveness, of love can spread outwards and make a real difference.
Exactly. That's the transformative power of living out the true meaning of Christmas. It's about becoming the change we want to see in the world, one choice at a time.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of Christmas. It's not just about presents and decorations. It's about something much deeper, much more meaningful.
It's amazing how Dr. Munroe's incidents can challenge our perspectives.
Yeah.
Isn't it? He saw Christmas as a call to action, an invitation to live differently, to tap into a power that can truly change the world.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this thought: what if we all took this message to heart? What if we all committed to embodying the true spirit of Christmas, not just during the holidays, but every single day?
What a powerful thought. Imagine the possibilities if we all chose to live with that kind of love, that kind of hope, that kind of peace.
This has been an incredible journey, and hopefully it sparks some new insights and questions for you as well. Dr. Munroe's words offer a truly unique perspective on the significance of Christmas, one that goes far beyond the traditional celebrations.
He challenges us to see Christmas as a catalyst for personal and societal transformation, a reminder that hope, love, and joy aren't just seasonal sentiments, they're powerful forces that can change the world.
So as we head into the holiday season and beyond, let's remember the true meaning of Christmas. Let's allow it to inspire us to live differently, to love more deeply, and to make choices that reflect the peace and joy we long for in the world.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.